Oh, hi there. I was just reading the Filmsprint Twitter account, which many of you seem to not know exists. 48 followers. That's all right. Well, it's Try Stuff Tuesdays, and as promised, I'm going to be working on well, quite frankly, the first motion graphics project that I ever attempted in my personal motion graphics career, and that is sky replacement. We're going to replace the sky. So, in the original sort of training project that I attempted, the idea was that you had a shot from ground level up looking at a motorcycle. Motorcycle jumped over it. The kind of sky behind it compared to the action of the shot, well, it looked a little bland. So, the project was sort of aimed at kind of spicing up the background of the project. So, we don't have a piece of video that interesting. I'm taking a picture that I used from a scout that I did at a location recently for a project I've been working on. And then I'll just be kind of doing some stuff with it. So as you can see here, we're here in After Effects. We're in one screen mode at the moment. Don't worry about it. We're not going to need to close this whole panel. All right. Think it through. All right. So we're gonna make a new sequence. We're just gonna try to get one good kind of just shot that you can maybe put some voiceover under or something like that. Actually, let's take a look and see how long. All right, got some good. So let's be ambitious. Let's make an ambitious, or let's make a ambitious runtime duration for this. 15 seconds long, which is way longer than any shot we're gonna need to do, but that's all right. Sky replace. Uh, project. Well, I'll try stuff Tuesdays folder. Merch designs. Speaking of merch designs, did you know that there's all kinds of amazing new merch on the Filmsprint store? You can check it out. There's great merch. We appreciate it if you look into it. I like it. New folder, sky replacement. Let's go. So we got our composition here. It is 1920 by 1080 project, which is actually what I want. And it's helpful because all of the footage that I'm using is of a higher. Well, this one is. Well, this main shot I'm going to start with and this picture are of a higher resolution than the composition, which means we can move the shots around within it and still be displayed at full resolution. So here's my picture here. Some of my local folks might recognize this here location. It's Twin Hills High School, or middle school, excuse me, Twin Hills Middle School, where I've been doing a little shoot recently, a little project, and I'm going to try to replace this sky here with something that's a little more interesting, something that's maybe motion, rather than to set up an elaborate rig and try to shoot, time lapse of the front of school. We're going to try to fake it and add sky replacement as well. That's the project today. So first things first is we're going to need to get rid of the sky we have. First thought, best thought. We're going to try ourselves at a little bit. Oh, we're going to try just a classic chroma key or a key. Take our color key. Yeah, it's key. Take our blue out. That pulls a lot of blue out. Probably more than we need pulled out, to be sure, because we get this whole sign pulled out, all the blue that's in there. Oh, I don't know a ton about how this works, so I'm learning this new keying thing as we go. Pretty cool. Oh, okay. So I think clip white is going to be helpful because it looks like what it's doing is it's helping me to kind of flip the white value. So rather than if it's 100%, it's anything that's got this blue that's any kind of gray. Yeah, well, we can also it looks like we could also mask it, which is, but you know, with this kind of a back, let's. I deleted something. Anyway, linear color. Yep, that's a lot easier. Pulled the blue out. And the cool thing about this is that it kind of gives us some of this like reflection, but not the whole thing. Turn down. Look, it's not pulling as much off of. Oh, like we're. You know, if we have a little bit of the edge of the blue, it's okay. We'll learn a little here. So I'm going to take this and put the road back in behind it. It's got pretty much everything else that it's got going. And we're just going for the quick and dirty here, not the perfect and polished. That's what we're all about here. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate this behind it. I will take just I'll delete these effects. So it's sitting there behind it, but I'll just take a mask quick. Wink, wink. Wait. Does just kind of shape. That'll fill in this space behind it without giving you the space in front of it. Lets you actually turn up this a little more dramatically, and it won't cut into the parts you don't. Got another mask on this one that would also be fine here. Got nice round or nice clear edges. We want to make sure that they're preserved, so we can kind of sort of eyeball get in the corners there. Yeah, so got a nice second mask behind it. So pull out more of this. Still have the sign behind it that's overlaid. Go. So what this lets us do with the sky behind it, and then just take some footage, wink, and plop it right down behind that. Now, this is a little rough because it's pretty big. But if we position it up a little higher, kind of get the those. If we play this forward here, render out some frames. We get some motion back there. We get some activity, which is nice. Gives you a little something going on. It's a little weird to see clouds this low. That's kind of a problem. We might want to try to find some other footage. I got this one. This is a very different vibe, and it's especially different because of how clearly a blue sky day this is. If I took these images and I put like, say, like an adjustment, like more colored like this, that might be an interesting way to go, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem. It's also got the same issue where, well, if we slid it up a little, at least we wouldn't have the like clouds right on the like right baseline. This kind of looks a little better, but the problem, of course, is that it's quite orange. So, well, so we could do something really insane and just kind of long. But I think that might be a little bit too much. Uh, let's see. Yeah, we got our nice sun's coming up here. You know, over the sign. What a treat. Certainly seems possible, but it would involve learning something I don't personally totally know how to do. So I guess we're gonna have to try it for at least a few minutes. If we have this, we can play this at. Unfortunately, the biggest issue with trying to render out projects like this is that I'm also broadcasting them to you, which dramatically affects the amount of graphics memory to go around. Unfortunately, so we render things at half speed. We accept things that are kind of floppy or half done for the purposes of Try Stuff Tuesdays. Because the idea is to just kind of mess around, learn stuff, try and see, not necessarily to have things for the old reel here. But if you want to follow along, it's always encouraged. A lot easier to follow along than it is to stream. So do what you want to do. You know, you can iterate, you can try your own things. You know, this footage is pretty wild. I don't know that it's going to work great for our purposes necessarily. Ooh, deleted the wrong thing there. But we could, we could more blue footage. It's like just want something that's a little more. I want that kind of gap where there aren't clouds. This camera is pointed too high up at the sky for what we are looking at, for what we're. If I was to put all this into 3-dimensional and move this back in space, forgetting the fact that we run out of space here. Even if we just scaled, got it just close enough, got the borders, it still looks pretty. It looks ominous, Look, for one thing, it does. These clouds towards the end are a lot grayer than the clouds at the beginning. So, as the time lapse of the day went on, as it was shot, the got a little darker. It looks like so. We have that problem. But this isn't too bad. Looks just distant enough, I'd say. It still looks a little off, but it's the kind of thing where you don't notice it. And that's really the sweet spot for motion graphics is would I notice it if I was looking for it? Because, so much of this stuff as it's presented to somebody for the first time, they may never see it again. They may not have that you know, that sort of, they're more empowered to be taken away by it than if you watch it 1,000 times and you get a little stuck in it. Just too many. I don't care for it. I am ready to move past that. That kind of. About this here on the edges. But we can also deal with it by adjusting. What I want to do here is do parent. Parented one layer to another. Slide one around, we slide both around. If we move one in space, we move both in space. So what I want to do here, besides the fact that we have this kind of bluish hue around the edge of the trees, I want to kind of hide that with a move. So if we move the camera slowly toward us over time, or move the image slowly toward us over time, then that's one way to sort of build that out. Just slow, kind of coming toward you. Probably too slow. If we were to do this and speed it up over half the time, maybe even a third of the time, look a little more dramatic. Here we are, coming at you. You go, so more dramatic, really bring it to you, really kind of even at the same time, maybe move up just a little stuff, kind of gives a pretty interesting effect. You get this movement, have, and then another way to kind of deal with the fact that this sky doesn't look exactly right, and this will be the next thing we work on, just add a little blur to it, just like it's a slightly out of focus, and we can actually do that with, a lot of the background here. I don't know what's going on that this looks wrong all of a sudden. But yeah, that's what's going on. Okay. So the problem is that whipped. Well, because I made them 3-dimensional. So I learned how a lot of it's like parenting is something that's useful, but that I haven't done a lot. So it's tough to, remember every one of these. Now if I all right, we figured it out. It only took a few extra steps. You parent, and then you adjust the parent, but you don't adjust the parent head. Then when you move the parent link, then this one will be moved still relative, but it'll be off. So yeah, start where let's say I want to end here. Closer. Focus. Then what I can do is take sort of a blur here, and this is also interesting because maybe even make a third. I think that's really important to have in focus here is this. If I was to take this third one, I could take the mask off the second one. Boink. Then I'll top guy this one. So now I got these two that are based on this. I got a mask that I only want the mask for the sign. So this is just the sign now. And oh yeah, guy behind. This is just the sign. We get the sign, we'll keep the sign in focus. Then we got we got our guy here. It looks like I may I got I got my sign layer. Right? Label that. We'll relabel that sign. Weak. Then what's this layer do? This layer. Okay. I don't need this like this. So I'm gonna mask. I'm gonna key back on it. Dark. Not. Yeah, the rest of this can kind of be out of focus, but we just want that key to be complete. So you need the take a little bit more of a full garbage mat here. Just kind of get close to a lot of these still pretty ambiguous but it lets out of have a general. Go behind the sign, call it, yeah, we'll call it background. We'll call it kind of like, and we'll have problem is that it is a little mixed together. So I might come back into this and this road and trees and just add, you know, we could do that. Well, we'd have to key all these. May just accept that it's not there. But we'll take it looks a little better without the key. So leave that for that. Okay. And we got all these layers. They're all in the same physical space, basically, which is nice. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a blur on everything but the spine layers. These other layers here. And that will let us kind of... Let's see. Go to smart. Smart blur on the road. Blur. Problem is, Red Giant Universe kind of... Oh man, that's weird. To the note. David Menard, appreciate you. I just... That's not the right one. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Real basic blur. Put it. No, I mean even that's too much. Like our sign here, bottom corner. Thing that does, having this really well masked, it lets us really present the illusion that this shape is in focus when everything around it is. So add a few points here. Take them. Area. And so we lines just come up close there. Okay, this isn't. Also add, copy this blur and put it onto here too. Sort of cloudy day. Then actually take a okay, take the camera, basically line it around in space, give it back depth. Take this. Excuse me. And we kind of Best move I've ever seen. Yeah, I don't like the camera move. We're gonna go back to doing it with motion keyframes because that's easier for my brain. We take our parent, this layer 1 here. Everything else moves around the sign. Clouds here. So what we can do is to take a part of the reason that my audio is fluctuating is that I'm like looking around the monitor. I haven't found out a great solution for that yet. So if you have one, let me know. I'm not talking into it the way that I would presentation thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Let me know. So for now, we'll just worry about position because we have 3-dimensional position. So we'll slide to the left a little and we'll in a little. This is the idea. When you move in a little, it's not weird that the sky didn't follow you. You know what I'm saying? Then we go. So let's render that full and just kind of take a look at it from this because that was silly. Bring the comp to the work area. There we go. You know, the idea for something like this, I mean, I'm looking at it, I can see the edge of that mat's not great. Um, you know, but it's nice to just pass it through once and just get a general idea what the graphic's going to look like. You know, this is the kind of thing that I would definitely recommend, you know, put in your toolbox for film sprint events and whatnot. It's definitely that kind of a skill to have in your tool bag to just be able to make something like this that just adds a little bit of that production value. And this is literally just a picture I took on my phone and some stock footage that makes it look like something else. I mean, you can, you know, if we wanted to, we could replace the this sky with that orange sky, and we could put some curves on this. We'll try that once this one's passed through, and we just have a good sense of how we feel about it. I'll make a duplicate. We'll try a demon sky here. Just rendering away is the render time. You guys ever there in the doldrums of the render? I know I do. Hey, got a little story here for it. That's pretty much what I'm talking about. Looks pretty clean for the most part. You know, if I was to do this and had a little longer time, one thing I might do is take this sequence, put a slight camera shake on it or something, because it's almost eerily smooth. You know, that's always a problem when it looks like, oh, this is almost too smooth to be real. But you know, that's a nice problem to have. With this BG layer, I would actually probably, well, I won't do it this time around the back, but take our pen tool here. Let's look at this mask around the sign and just maybe clean it a little more. And really get zoomed in and just put these right where they be. Because it's a still image, you know, you're in pretty good. More point. But hey, good news, it's out of the frame. We don't have to worry. Well, fall. It's a little purple there, so you just part of it again. Oh, and it's object. It's up. Pretty good to me. So, huh, that's interesting. I don't know, David. I see you with your feedback. That's very interesting. I mean, this is something I'm enjoying live streaming. Might be better suited for pre-recording. There's probably a reason people don't do this, but we're gonna press on with this one. Just try other stuff. It also might be a thing where, I got some resources going here. I also have Photoshop open. That's probably taking up some resources. Oh yeah, that's the old calendar. Don't worry about that. I'll move all off screen so you don't have to worry your pretty little heads about it. I'm really excited about this upcoming round, though. Can I just say again? I'll show you all this real quick. A really cute picture of my. Yeah, my dog's adorable. So, I'm gonna just shot. That'll probably help a lot. In terms of text. Nailed it. All right. So we got our little project here. It's moving like this. It does our little move. It's slightly whatever. Maybe not fully ominous, but it's it will be when we do this other thing. So we got our sky. Let's duplicate this and call it sky replacement. Dark. We're gonna take our little sky replacement dark. Bring in this sort of orangey backdrop. Why is it over everything? That doesn't make. Oh, because it's. That's right. Yeah. So we're gonna take this. It's now a very sad arc day. Oh, we can also take this and we can push this to different. Oh, it would probably don't be good. No, that's. Perfect. Darken. So that gives it all this other stuff behind it kind of an orange hue. Yeah, that was. But we got this. It's looking interesting. So we can move in and out. All of a sudden, it's a very, very evil day at Twin Hills. The other thing that we can do with this, because we have our sign layer, is we could apply some curves to it, kind of work from. So, I'm going to a little bit about how. So it's pretty simple. Curves is the idea to the ability to draw and affect the levels. Color, you can do it in all of RGB, but you can also like make it redder, just slightly. Now it really looks like it belongs in this space. Cinematic Universe is going to be so fun, David. I see you in the chat talking about it. Let me tell you about it real quick. Here's how Cinematic Universe works. Thursday we kick off. Saturday, the first Saturday, we have another Zoom call where everybody says what they're working on, like to each other, and then you kind of pick who wants to work together and add characters or objects or whatever from their respective films across into each other's work, so that we can have things that make it a real, true cinematic universe. And then they still, even after that Saturday, would have another 8 days because it's not due till the following Sunday. That's the idea. Separate kickoffs for the East Coast and the West Coast, but one like Saturday check-in meeting in the afternoon. That's the idea. It's gonna be a ton of fun. So everybody should sign up. It's gonna be really. Anyway, we're busy making this a demon skied evil middle school, not to be confused with our cheerful bright middle school. We have this sort of darkens, and it might even be interesting to add sort of a keyframe on brightness, or yeah, let's try that. Let's just start with just straight up brightness and contrast on. Put it on here, and then what we're gonna do is kind of keyframe it on both ends of the, see what happens. So I'm kind of interested with starting it a little even darker than the world around it, and kind of go right, but not so much. Like it still just feels like you're getting closer to it. It's not. So, I mean, it's a little dramatic. I might still bring it down a little just in brightness back end, so it's not totally, messed up. But this is kind of interesting. I'd also, while I'm looking at it, I want to take this curves. I want to apply it to my road and trees back there. That really changes the tone of this background pretty dramatically. So now we have our nice bright day scene. Looking at this, let's turn these off. So we have our nice bright day scene looking at this. Then we have our dark, scary nighttime scene. So that's kind of what we can accomplish pretty quickly in After Effects. I mean, it's it's pretty. It's so funny. I just looked over and saw that David commented that I should pull the blue out, and just like that, I went over and I was already working on it. But yeah, it really is a dramatic kind of shift that you can accomplish very quickly. I mean, this took a grand total of like just around 35 38 minutes to make two different shots. So you could even have, if you had the time to change up this sign or something, you could have the text be something different. There's lots of ways to get there. I mean, I could just do a corner pin on another layer and change this sign manually and have it just say two different things for each run. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works. So that's it. That's sky replacement. That's me walking you through something that I was taught, and it took them about a little less time than this to teach me how to do it because they didn't have to, remember some of the controls. But that's how you do it. That's how you replace the sky. We got a nice sky. We got an evil, scary sky. But they're both awesome, and they both look pretty cool. This one, if you play it in reverse, it's like extra dark. But if you play it backwards, it's almost like, well, maybe it's sort of a sunset. You can make this a much we could mess with the sky here even further on this. We could put curves on it on our sky layer back. Maybe also turn down that blur a little. I want to see something back. Kind of that weird like middle, but yeah, you could kind of just make it real darkly ominous. Then you'd probably want to bring down these. Yeah, that really that is pretty dark. Really starting to come. Yeah. Oh, got our scary sky here. And we got our happy sky. And this little edge back there that's just bothering. Maybe that's like color tolerance. Oh yeah. Edit out that. Ooh, that's interesting. Now I'm like getting into this. I really. You still get the shape of the tree in the distance, but you know it's not like married to the. So now look at this. Now we're really cooking. We got our nice bright sky. We got our evil, depressing, scary sky. And even with a little tweak to make it look even more ominous, just under 40 minutes. I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm going to call it a night. I got actual work to do in the morning. But this has been another Try Stuff Tuesdays. We fixed the sky today, y'all. Bink bonk. Bink bonk. Pretty cool. Pretty gratifying. And we'll be back on Thursday with FS T3K.